Hello, good evening, welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live from our news about the Sawe Kanda, also live on 3FM 927 on Facebook, also on YouTube as well. You can follow us here on Hot Edition. I am Alfred Ocansey this evening here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We'll tell you a reaction that I've been pouring in after the President and the Speaker of Parliament expressed surprise at the passing of the anti-LGBTQ plus bill into law on Friday. Stay with us. We've got details for you and also reactions from some persons and CSOs who supported this particular bill and some legal practitioners as well. Stay with us here on Hot Edition. We have details for you. These and more in the next 1 hour. Now let's settle for a summary of the news now. Noura Mohammed is here.
Hello, Alfred. Starting off the summaries, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has directed the House to revisit the passage of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, popularly known as the anti-LGBTQ plus bill. And this follows concerns over whether the level of bipartisan support reflected in the committee report was adequately demonstrated during proceedings on the floor. Meanwhile, at least 15 people have been confirmed dead and 25 others injured following a devastating head-on collision between a container truck and a passenger bus at Peki Chame in the Volta region. The fatal accident occurred in the early hours of Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026, near the premises of Peki Senior High School, prompting an emergency response from personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service. Also, President John Dramani Mahama on Tuesday, June 2, held a bilateral meeting with the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer on number 10 Downing Street as part of his official engagements in the United Kingdom. The meeting took place on June 2 at the British Prime Minister's official residence and office in London. Meanwhile, Health Minister Kwabena Mintah-Akando has assured Ghanaians that authorities are keeping a close eye on Ebola outbreaks in various parts of Africa in order to stop the disease from potentially spreading to Ghana. Mr. Akando disclosed that health authorities receive daily updates on Ebola cases and transmission trends across Africa, enabling Ghana to assess risks and strengthen its preparedness efforts. And finally, the Vice President, Professor Nana Jino-Poku-Agyeman, has called for large-scale investment across the rice value chain to transform agriculture, strengthen food security, and drive economic growth across West Africa. Speaking on behalf of President John Dramani Mahama at the opening of the two-day West Africa Rice Investment Roundtable in Accra, on June 2, 2026, the Vice President said the gathering is not only about rice production, but also about economic transformation, regional integration, and Africa's ability to feed itself sustainably. That's it for the summaries. Over to you, Alfred.
Well, thank you so much. And we're still live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Your thoughts and views, comments and opinions are welcome at 3FM 927 and read out to you and to the rest of the world. Now let's get into some of the details of the issues this evening here on Hot Edition. Also build up strongly to the match between the Black Stars and the Wales national team. Stay with us. We're getting to a lot more. But yesterday, there's been reactions after the Speaker of Parliament expressed surprise at the passage of an anti-LGBTQ plus bill by Parliament on Friday. This also was followed by the President, John Dramani Mahama's statement during an interview at Chatham House yesterday in London regarding the anti-LGBTQ plus bill passage. First off, let's take a listen to the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban Bagbin, also giving a new directive in that regard regarding this particular bill and the call for consensus to be prioritized in the passage of this particular bill into law. get back to exactly what the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban Bagbin said, but let's do this quickly. And Alhaji Inusa Fuseni is joining us on the telephone. He's a private legal practitioner, former member of parliament, a former minister as well of the Republic of Ghana. He's joining us on the telephone with his thoughts on this development regarding this LGBTQ plus bill or anti-LGBTQ plus bill, which was passed by Parliament on Friday. But then the Speaker has raised questions about what happened on Friday. And Alhaji Inusa Fuseni, good evening. Thank you for joining us on Hot Edition. Alhaji, good evening. Can you hear us? Hello? Hello?
Hello, yes.
Yes. This is Alfred. Can you hear us?
Your line is breaking.
This is Alfred. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. First of all, I want to find out from you what your first reaction is to the Speaker of Parliament's surprise about what happened on Friday regarding the passage of the anti-LGBTQ plus bill into law by Parliament on Friday. He raises questions about quorum, and then also the fact that this bill, because of its nature, this consensus must be prioritized, which he said was not exhibited on Friday before the bill was passed. How does all of this strike you? Hello?
I can hear you well.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes. I can hear now.
Perfect. I was saying, hearing what the Speaker of Parliament said yesterday about the passage of the anti-LGBTQ plus bill into law by Parliament on Friday, he says that consensus was not reached before the bill was passed, and considering the nature of the bill, consensus is key. I want to find out from you how that strikes you.
Oh, no, I'm surprised at the Speaker's statement. Consensus of Parliament is reached either when the leaders of Parliament decide that this is the way they will approach a matter, or when the matter is resolved by vote. That's the consensus. So it's a consensus that when matters cannot be resolved by negotiation and agreement, they are decided by a vote. That's the consensus. That's the parliamentary consensus. So I'm surprised that the Speaker is using consensus. By law, you vote to determine the outcome, or by negotiation.
I see. But what we are hearing now is that this anti-LGBTQ plus bill, even though was passed by Parliament on Friday, is set to undergo fresh parliamentary scrutiny because the Speaker has directed the House to reconsider aspects of the passage, even though this bill has been passed on Friday.
Well, again, that is a novelty. Because when a bill is read for the third time in Parliament and passed, Parliament becomes contus officium. So it's a novelty. I have not, during my stay in Parliament, I didn't come across an issue where the bill will be read the third time and passed and subjected to another reconsideration.
I see.
Because when a bill is read the third time and passed, Parliament becomes contus officium. They cannot consider the bill again. The bill leaves the jurisdiction of Parliament.
I see, but could this development affect the legal standing of the bill going forward, particularly if it faces, for instance, a court challenge, or somebody decides to test the law on this particular development?
Well, I have said that we should look at the bill two ways. What happened in Parliament and what will happen when the bill is transmitted to the President for assent. There are many options open to the President. If the President is of the view that certain provisions of the bill, he doesn't side with certain provisions of the bill, he can refer the bill to the Council of State for advice. And if the Council of State is of the view that the bill will return to Parliament for reconsideration, that is when the jurisdiction of Parliament will be invoked to look at that particular bill. And this is not the first time that has happened. And President Kufuor, you remember the domestic violence bill. When there was a clause which was interpreted to mean marital rape. the clause was passed in terms that President Kufuor did not like. And so when the bill was transmitted to him for signature, he objected to the inclusion of the bill in the clause in the bill, and escalated it to the Council of State, which recommended that the bill be sent back to Parliament for reconsideration. And I'm happy to say that I was part of those who formulated that particular provision in the bill to the satisfaction of Kufuor before the bill was assented to.
I see. It clearly means that we're not seeing the end of the road of the anti-LGBTQ plus bill anytime soon, isn't it? But what is happening now?
Well, so let's take the issue one after the other. When a bill is laid in Parliament and it's gone through all the motions and is done the third reading and passed, Parliament has completed its side. Mind you, the enactment formula for law is passed by Parliament and assented to by the President. So the bill has been passed by Parliament. In transmitting the bill to Parliament for assent, the President can raise issues with certain provisions in the bill. And so when that happens, there are options open to the President under the Constitution of the Republic. And if he takes advantage of the provisions in the Constitution that allows him to indicate his concerns, then the bill can go back to Parliament for the Constitution.
Elijah, I do appreciate your time on this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Elijah Nsafuseni is former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, also a former Member of Parliament for the Tamale Central constituency. He's a private legal practitioner as well with his thoughts on this matter. Also, a private legal practitioner, Martin Pebble, who has also been sharing his thoughts on this development, and he says that it's one to watch because the president is already giving indication of what could be the possible options if this bill is transferred to the presidency in its current form. Here, the president yesterday, during that interview in London, indicated that if the bill which has been passed by Parliament eventually makes its way to the presidency, he could have the legal team of the president speak or look into it. Also, it could be referred to the Council of State under Article 106 to look at it. If there are any concerns, they could refer this bill back to Parliament. So there's a road ahead. It's one to watch, but this is what Martin Pebble had to say.
You say, hey, if anybody has anything against this marriage, the person should say so now, or forever hold your peace. Or forever hold your peace. Of course, when you come into law, you know that it's not forever hold your peace. If later you find grounds that the marriage is not well, what you call celebrated, it can be annulled. But I'm just showing that common example. So, quorum, I'm happy that Femo Poise mentioned it. That doesn't go far. But the president has grounds to look at the actual provisions, and under Article 106, this refer it to the Council of State, like you said, or he himself will show why he would not assent to it. That's within 7 days after he has received it. Article 106 says that within 7 days after he has received it, he will send a message to Parliament, the Speaker, to show whether he will sign or he would not, or whether he would send it to the Council of State. So perhaps if he wants more time to look at it, it's refreshing to hear that even Adam Saranu and Co, who have baying for the blood of Parliament, that it should be passed. It should be passed. Now say that the president should take his time. Yeah. So and let's not forget the way we've been doing it. When you read the bill, the memorandum to the bill, you see that look, even the National House of Chiefs said that look, our society abhors gay, LGBTQ, etc., but they are calling on citizens to desist from harassing these people. The National House of Chiefs says they are calling on citizens to desist from intimidating gays. The National House of Chiefs says they are calling on citizens to desist from lynching them, etc., you name them. So if we've come this far, why not? If we have to wait for the president to scrutinize it further, sure. I mean, it's all within law. But the good thing we should do is that I think every Ghanaian should take time to read the bill, the memorandum especially, and you see that, yes, even the persons who were painted as the ones just asking for the law anyhow, it's actually not the case. The National House of Chiefs says, don't harass these people, don't lynch them, don't intimidate them, don't ridicule them, don't discriminate against them. Yes, because that's what a civilized society does. We have to carry them along in a manner that we're also saying their activities should not become the norm. The main thing is that we don't want them flaunting it on radio, TV, etc., in order to lure our young ones. I think that's the main purpose of the bill. They don't want an exponential growth in LGBTQ activities, so that people who are not even naturally inclined to be LGBTQ would then copy such lifestyles. I think that's what the National House of Chiefs is trying to stop, the Catholic Bishops' Conference, etc.
That's Martin Pebo, is private legal practitioner. But one other organization that supported this particular bill, which was passed by Parliament, who the Speaker has also directed aspect of it to be looked at, is the Advocates for Christ. Adam Senano is president, and this is what he has to say about the latest development regarding the Speaker's surprise about what happened on Friday in his absence, even though the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Bernard Ahiafo, presided over the business of the House on that day.
Absolutely. I commend Parliament for, taking this up, being able to process it, probably in a certain sense, even faster than I thought they would do at this stage. And perhaps it's because they have dealt with it in the past, because usually conciliation is not just, it's not that quick. But having looked at what has gone into the changes, the exemptions in particular, I think that one or two of them need tightening. Otherwise, it provides a lacuna that will be exploited by certain persons, and what we want to achieve will be, undermined. And to that extent, therefore, already it was going to be one of the things in my mind. If the president is going to have to deal with it, my position was going to be, Mr. President, you've got to look at those exemptions, send it back, put a memo on it, and especially the one that has to do with public sector and NGOs having the right to just give information. I thought that didn't have a constructive purpose. It was likely to just undermine why we set out to do this law in the first place.
That's Adam Senano with the Advocates of Christ. Let's stay a bit further with the Advocates of Christ, because Aram Bashan is the Director of Communications. He's joining us right now. I thank you so much, Aram. Can you hear us?
Yes, and thank you. The line is a bit faint.
Perfect. Is it better now?
I hope to still try hard.
Great. Some supporters of the bill, looking at what has been described as the back and forth between yesterday and today, after what happened on Friday with Parliament passing this bill into law, and the Speaker now coming and saying, you know what, a lot happened in my absence. There was a directive I gave before I left, and I was surprised that this bill was passed on Friday. So go back and look into some aspects of the bill. I mean, do you see this as part a development that could possibly impact on this whole deliberation about the bill negatively?
Thank you very much. I mean, naturally, I'm an optimist through and through. And so, even though there seems to be some level of pandemonium in the public square, I am not. I am seeing a lot of goodwill backing this bill. Bearing in mind, it is not so much even about the political class, the ruling elite, but so much more about preserving the interests of majority of Ghanaians. That this bill is driven by huge public opinion. It's not even about electoral fortunes or one party or the other, but that the will of Ghanaians across the political divide, across religious divide, across any other thing that we consider as dividing us. For the first time, this is one critical issue of public behavior that Ghanaians seem to have a very strong consensus. And it is interesting that in the previous parliament, it was an opposition team that seemed to have have been very vocal in leading it. And in the present, it is still an opposition parliamentary team that is leading it. It tells you one thing. And so I see it from that perspective. Clearly, what came out last week at the passage was a surprise to all of us, because we knew it was at a consideration stage and it wasn't going to pass through as quickly. Again, you saw that the speaker, who is one of the drivers of this whole bill, without whom we wouldn't have come this far, wasn't seated in his seat. And so that was a clear, signal for concern. Then you looked at the number of MPs that showed up in the House. It still didn't make sense. But of course, we took it in until we began interrogating, the elements of it. And then the minority MP, as in the Reverend Minister, who was part of the proponents of this private.
Absolutely, that's Intim Fojo, yes.
Out on the side, yes. Reverend Intim Fojo coming on the side of the minority to raise those critical arguments, and raising it first and foremost not as an issue of minority interest, but something touching on what the generality of Ghanaians desire. And I think I come from that perspective. I was worried, and I was looking to have the true certified copy of the bill that had been passed. We wanted to stay away, even as a movement, to stay away from all the commentaries, to receive at least the certified copy of what had been deemed as passed before we can prefer any comments. And I think that is showing very much good faith, knowing that policy through to the legislative process is not an end in itself. Even there's a big work of how we will implement it and the demands it will place on us culturally, socially, and you've looked at even the implications with some of our development partners who are not so happy with this, how Ghana is going to position itself coming out of this whole thing. So for me, hearing speakers come to say that, listen, wait a minute, you jammed the gun, things didn't go the way they were supposed to. There are procedural gaps that need to be filled. And also hearing the rhetoric from the president, I think that these are positive signals. It will not sway anything, because as you can see, Ghanaians, nobody is going to close their eye, not even one eye, to see any neo-colonial interest forced on us with all our sovereign will and autonomy. We won't. And so I think that we should just allow Parliament to do its work. And I trust both sides. I don't even trust just one side. Yes, there was a missed opportunity for the NPP administration, but I don't think that we should allow the opportunity for them to even redeem themselves to pass through. Yes, some can make political fortunes out of it. We want to distance ourselves from that. We want to focus on the what would benefit the entirety of this generation and the generation to come. Much more so, protecting the youth, protecting our Ghanaian culture, and for once, protecting our collective voice as Ghanaians, something we hardly see in partisan politics.
Eram, truly appreciate you for this. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Eram Bashan is Director of Communications of Advocates for Christ there. Away from that, let's go on to some more stories. The government has announced plans to introduce a new rice import quota policy aimed at increasing demand for locally produced rice and strengthening Ghana's domestic rice value chain. Speaking at the West African Rice Investment Roundtable in Accra earlier today, the Minister of Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, said the new policy will tie rice import permits to support for local production. Under the arrangement, importers will be required to demonstrate verifiable procurement from and partnerships with Ghanaian rice farmers and producers before receiving approval to import rice. According to the minister, the initiative seeks to reduce the country's dependence on imported rice, expand market opportunities for local farmers, and increase domestic production capacity and attract investment into the rice sector. Take a listen to the Minister for Food and Agriculture earlier today.
3FM 92.7.
3FM 92.7. Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
FM 92.7.
Government will implement an import quota policy that directly links the privilege of importing rice to the growth of domestic production. Under this policy, rice importers will be required to demonstrate verifiable procurement of and partnership with Ghanaian rice production before import permits are approved. Let me be clear about the principle behind us. We are not raising tariffs that punish consumers. We are not imposing bans that create shortages. We are redirecting the existing value in the rice trade towards building our own productive capacity. The import share will reduce progressively over the next 10 years, but each reduction will be contingent on verified milestones in domestic production. We will not create a gap we cannot fill. And critically, this policy is designed to be self-financing, carrying no new burden on the national treasury, and it will be governed transparently on a clear statutory basis, with safeguards to ensure it benefits rich, genuine producers and the smallholders linked to them, not a privileged few. Our analysis shows a credible pathway to 100% rice self-sufficiency within 10 years. Roughly a third of our rice farmers are women, and it is women who dominate the aggregation, processing, and trade that turn paddy into the rice on our tables. Lifting this sector means lifting our women. Under the government Feed Ghana program, we are investing in irrigation expansion, mechanization services, improved seed systems, fertilizer efficiency, post-harvest infrastructure, aggregation centers, and value addition across the rice value chain. We are reinforcing our Buy Ghana First policy so that public institutions, including the military, the prison service, our schools, and hospitals.
That's a great minister there, but local rice farmers say they continue to face significant challenges, including limited market access, inadequate storage facilities, high production cost, and competition from cheaper imported rice. Now, to understand what this policy could mean for local producers and whether it will address their long-standing concerns, we're joined by Dr. Charles Nyaba. He's a farmer and former executive director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Dr. Nyaba, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred.
Now, government is set to introduce rice import quota as a way of supporting local rice production. Is that what is one, at least, of the many considerations required to address the myriad of challenges confronting you, the local rice farmers?
Alfred, this is long overdue. We have made this proposal before. Since we know that the current local production capacity cannot meet demand, what we keep calling is that we don't just abandon purchasing from local farmers. But if you are importing, we should make it mandatory that at least you buy certain quantities from the local farmers. Alfred, as we speak, I'm in the Upper East. I was in East yesterday. Last 2 years, this time around, if you went to the valleys, farmers were being plowing. You see tractors plowing everywhere. When I went there, the valleys were lying there. You only see one or two farmers who are plowing. You travel about another kilometer, you see one tractor plowing. I tried to find out what's happening this year. They took me to their warehouses, and what they produce, most of the warehouses are so full with paddy rice because there are no buyers. So they are constrained. So to me, I think this is a laudable policy. If only they can ensure that it is implemented to latest, then it will go a long way to address the problem.
So the matter is with implementation, so that, I mean, if somebody is given the license to import and directed to collaborate and support a local farmer, it goes beyond just putting on paper. The issue is about the effective implementation, is it not?
Yeah, I agree with you, because there are several measures the government has put in place to ensure that the demands of local rice farmers is met. But when it gets to the implementation, it doesn't happen. Typical example was when the president gave the directives that the schools should buy from the local farmers. How many of them are buying from the local farmers? If the school feeding alone is buying rice from local farmers, buying maize from local farmers, I don't think this so far that we are all crying about would have happened. So to me, I would be more interested in seeing how it is going to be implemented. We are ever ready to provide with information. For instance, if they engage, we will be able to tell where the rice is. If those importers are not buying from the local farmers, we will be able to tell. But if these issues are always done and it gets to implementation, and the real people who are supposed to be the beneficiaries are left out, and then you just let outside lead the implementation, everybody wants their interest, because it's easy to import rice, which the consumers demand. The taste is very high than the local farmers. But if you involve the local farmers, you involve the local millers, involve all of us, we'll be able to provide a suggestion that will help with the implementation.
Doc, appreciate you for this. Thank you so much for joining us with your thoughts.
Thank you, Alfred.
Dr. Charles Nyaba is the former executive director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. Now, it's some 24 minutes to the top of the hour. A number of your thoughts coming through. Read them out to you and to the rest of the world. But some unfortunate incidents happened earlier today. First, a tragic road accident involving a school bus has claimed the lives of two pupils from the Alice Elites Academy, a preparatory school located at Asin Edubiase in the Asin South district of the Central Region. Now, the reports we're hearing is that the deceased, a young boy and a girl, were among more than 40 school children traveling on the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter bus when the incident occurred on the Asin Homaho Road on the evening of Monday, June 1, that was yesterday. Confirming the heartbreaking incident, the Central North Regional Motor Traffic and Transport Department Commander, DSP Wanda Lumo, provided details on the casualties and emergency response. According to DSP Lumo, a total of 40 affected children were rushed to nearby medical facilities immediately after the crash. 22 of the victims were transported to St. Francis Xavier Hospital, while the remaining 18 were taken to the Asin Hospital as well for medical treatment. And that is information that we're monitoring quite closely. In addition to that, also earlier today, the Ghana National Fire Service confirmed the death of 15 people in a fatal road crash at Peki Chame near the Peki Senior High School in the Volta region. The accident, which occurred in the early hours of Tuesday, that's today, involved a head-on collision between a Mercedes-Benz container truck traveling from Nkwanta to Accra and a Mercedes-Benz passenger bus traveling from Bator to Kabiti in the Oti region. Assistant Divisional Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, Alex Kinate, is joining us on the telephone. Alex Kinate, appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Now, what's the latest? What more do we know about this accident that has claimed 15 lives as we know so far?
Thank you very much, Alfred. So, as rightfully said, 15 people unfortunately lost their lives due to the hard work of our officers stationed at Peki, led by their ADO Okore. They were able to help extricate and rescued 25 people who had sustained various degrees of injuries. And so they were transported to the Eki Government Hospital for treatment. As at this afternoon around 3 p.m., I can confirm that all the other 25 people that were transported to the Eki Government Hospital are responding to treatment. Unfortunately, some of them are left with life conditions like broken legs, and I think that was quite the number. That was the prevailing number. A lot of people had broken legs, but fortunately, nobody has lost their lives again, and they are all responding to treatment. The commander for the fire station went to the area or to the hospital with the DCE. Then the vehicles that were involved in the accident have been pulled away from the road to make way for smooth traffic. So that's what's been there. The site has been visited, assessments have been made, and it's been identified that the curves in the area. Mind you, this area is an accident-prone area. Our team at Eki respond to more accidents than they do even for fires. And it's troubling that it's an area prone to traffic accidents. So we are hoping that moving forward, more stringent measures will be put in place to forestall any such accidents in the future.
Now, so you talk about this place being an accident-prone area, and the fact that your officers have reported or received more accident-related information over the years. But what has been done? I mean, between yourselves and the MTTD, what recommendations have you made to be done to ensure that the accidents reduce at this accident-prone area, as you've just mentioned?
So it's a discussion our team in the Peki area. I've had with the DC in the area. From what we've gathered, also there's a road construction ongoing over there, and so there has been some potholes. So efforts are being made to expedite the road construction. And then again, intensifying the public education among drivers is one thing that we intend to step up, because drivers who tend to speed on that road, and mind you, there's no street lights there. So we are hoping that moving forward also, the DC would ensure that street lights would be installed in these areas, because looking at a place.
Unfortunately, we lost Alex Kenate there. Unfortunately, we'll try to raise him back on the telephone to just conclude on the point that he was making, and also to get some updates on what's happened now. But he's just confirmed to us that this area where the accident happened, has claimed 15 lives. This fatal crash or Peki Tame near the Peki Senior High School in the Volta region. This particular area is an accident-prone area. They've received quite a number of accident-related information. That's the Ghana National Fire Service over the years, and I was just asking questions about what has been done to ensure that the rate of accidents reduces in this particular area. So we'll get some more information when Alex Kinate joins us again to round up the point that he was making earlier here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond, and also we're keeping an eye on what happened in the central region as well. That involved the school bus. A tragic road accident that involved a school bus claiming the lives of two pupils from Alice Elite Academy at Asin Edubiase in the Asin South District of the Central Region. We understand there were some 40 school children traveling on that Mercedes-Benz Sprinter bus when the incident occurred at Asin Homaho Road on the evening of Monday, June 1. A young boy and a young girl have been confirmed dead. Unfortunately, one of the parents of the deceased, Douglas Odums, also gave details about this particular incident, confirming that all 40 injured pupils who were in this bus received medical treatment and have since been discharged to their respective families. We're monitoring that as well in the central region, and the development as well in the Volta region, but unfortunately we're unable to connect to Alex Kinate again. But the Tema Regional Police Command has arrested a suspect, Bismarck women. But before we go into the details of that, let's go to quickly Alex Kenate back on the telephone with the Ghana National Fire Service. Mr. Kenate, you were making a point before we lost you regarding the recommendations that the fire service has made about this accident-prone area on the Peki Road that has claimed 15 lives earlier today.
Yes, sir. So, as I actually said, looking at a route that is zigzag like that, as drivers, people would have the tendency to drive off their lane when they're negotiating these things. Further becomes dangerous or complicated when there's no street lights or there's low visibility. It then brings about more of these head-on collisions. So we are recommending that there should be street lights installed so that looking at the dangerous nature of this road, visibility can help reduce some of these things. Obviously, with the zigzag nature of the road, there's nothing we can do about that. We can only educate drivers to, if I'm to speak, drive with their heads. Especially if you, as a driver, you are driving in a terrain or you are driving in an area that is unfamiliar to you, an area that you are not used to. It's important to drive with caution and drive with care, because speeding on a road that you are unfamiliar with can also cause some of these things. So we are in contact with the assemblies and the DC to make sure that some of these recommendations can be implemented to forestall any such occurrence in the future.
Alex Kenate, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Alfred.
AD01 Alex Kenate with the Ghana National Fire Service Public Affairs Department there. Away from that, the Tema Regional Police Command has arrested a suspect, Bismarck Bomeno, for the alleged possession of large quantities of compressed plant material suspected to be narcotic drugs. According to a police statement issued by the Public Affairs Unit, the arrest was made on Sunday, 31st May 2026 by officers of the Tema Highway Patrol Unit during an operation along the Tema Adan Road. The suspect, who was reportedly driving a Hyundai Mighty 2 container truck, allegedly failed to stop when signaled by officers and attempted to evade arrest. He was subsequently pursued and apprehended at Bondasi. A search of the vehicle led to the discovery of 12 sacks and 80 parcels of compressed plant materials concealed within a container and wrapped in sellotape. Preliminary investigations suggest the substance was loaded at Beve in the Volta region and was being transported to Adan. The suspect is currently in police custody, assisting with investigations, while the vehicle and exhibits have been impounded for evidential purposes. The police command reiterated its commitment to combating drug trafficking and other related criminal activities, urging the public to support law enforcement by providing timely and credible information on suspicious movement. Still live here on Hot Edition. We're back shortly after this quick break while we round up and hand over to the sports team for some pre-match analysis. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Every woman deserves
Welcome back to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. A number of your messages from you are listeners on 3FM 927, also on Facebook at 3FM 927. Richard Eko from Town says, Ghanaians resisted government vehicles being insured with SIC. Today, those same people are championing the school feeding program, buying local rice and maize. My question is, what's the difference? Both policies do exactly the same thing. They keep government money that's with Ghanaians. You cannot oppose one and celebrate the other. We do not have a local content philosophy in this country. We have local content sentiments, and we apply it only when it suits us. Until that changes, we're not serious about building Ghana. Richard, of course, sends us that's one. A few of your messages as well I will read. But before we end here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, in communities across Ghana, women and girls with disabilities continue to face hidden struggles in managing menstrual health and hygiene. Menstruation is a natural part of life, yet for many living with physical, sensory, or intellectual disabilities, the experience is complicated by barriers that go far beyond biology. Safwa Bohin reports.
On the physical challenges, stigma and silence deepen exclusion, leaving many without the dignity, privacy, and support they deserve. For one mother, caring for her 12-year-old daughter with cerebral palsy means relying on diapers. She laments the lack of products designed for girls like her child and calls for pads that meet their unique needs.
During the menstrual time now, and easy because of your bar.
It's tough for her during her menstrual cycle. I usually put a pamper on her with a pad, but I don't know if I can use just the pad alone without causing her any infection.
Met me use pad no kwa de ama me ba no. Infection bia ana.
16-year-old Form 1 student Chantel Adongo says stigma around menstruation still persists in schools, making young girls feel isolated.
The day that she started feeling pains. Those days, she wasn't having pad, so they taught her how to use cloth. Sometimes when she stains her dress, her friends, and they mock at her, they laugh at her. It's very disgraceful. She feels shy. She doesn't feel good.
Midwifery officer at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Filipina Ajele Adu, urges families to seek medical care whenever they notice unforeseen changes during menstruation.
People feel that menstruation is dirty and that when girls are menstruating or women are menstruating, they don't need to go to certain places, example, church and school. It is not true. It is a natural thing with women. So I don't think people should discriminate against women or girls who menstruate. Sometimes if you saw yourself as a woman, you don't have to feel shy about it.
Marking World Menstrual Health Day with persons with disabilities, the Gender, Children and Social Protection Minister, Dr. Namo Mulate, emphasized the importance of menstrual health and hygiene education.
Those who have severe disabilities that impair their mobility, you realize that those people need extra support. It's not as simple as we see it as handing over pad, but it's also making sure that this menstruation, which is a natural thing, is done with dignity.
So far, Bayern's report read to you. Greater Accra Regional Director of the National Disaster Management Organization, that is NADMO, Dennis Nate Ajano, says engineers who approved building permits and property owners who developed wetlands and Ramsar sites will face prosecution even after affected structures are demolished. So that's the latest coming through from NADMO in that regard. He made the announcement at the launch of the No Do flood awareness campaign by the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, aimed at encouraging responsible environmental practices to help reduce flooding. Nura Mohammed reports. We'll bring you details of that report in subsequent bulletins. There's more news on 3news.com. But before we go, some news coming through from the northern region. 4 men have been convicted and sentenced to prison terms in connection with the kidnapping and ransom-related offences in the northern region as police intensify efforts to arrest additional suspects linked to separate abduction cases. The Northern Regional Police Commander, DCOP Wisdom Lavoy, disclosed the convictions at a press briefing in Tamale earlier today, noting that the suspects were prosecuted by the Tamale High Court too. He said the convicted persons, Haruna Saidu, Osman Sambo, Amadou Aminu, and Ohoifa Amadou, abducted a man at Wapoli and demanded ransom from his family. The accused persons were arrested by the Northern Regional Police Intelligence Unit while sharing the ransom money at Opapa on the Yendi Bimbela Road. According to DCOP Lavoy, the court found the 4 guilty of conspiracy to kidnapping, causing harm, and threat of death. Each was sentenced to 8 years imprisonment with hard labor to run concurrently. The court also ordered the auctioning of 4 motorbikes and 4 mobile phones retrieved during investigations, with proceeds to be paid into the consolidated fund. A sum of 70,000. Part of the recovered ransom is to be returned to the complainant's brother, Buhu Osman. DCOP Lavoy said investigations are ongoing into other kidnapping incidents, including a case in which a teenage victim was shot. He explained that in the Kabuyelia case, armed men attacked the home of Loyola Issa, assaulted 2 family members and abducted a boy, initially demanding 100,000 cedis, later reduced to 20,000 cedis after negotiation. Police acting on intelligence intercepted Amadou Obubakar at the Binda barrier, where 20,000 in ransom money and an unregistered motorbike were retrieved. He reportedly admitted involvement and named accomplices who are currently on the run. That victim, Ali Issa, was later found at Pandai Government Hospital with a gunshot wound to the jaw and transferred to the Tamale Teaching Hospital for further treatment. There's more news you can find on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. On behalf of the rest of the team here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, we say thank you for staying with us. We're back again tomorrow. The sports team takes over with commentary of Ghana versus Wales. Alfred Ocansey. Join me at 10 p.m. on TV3 and on 3FM 92.7 for Ghana Tonight.